Hey everybody, this is Eric, the Humble Bumble. Kind of an interesting hybrid video I'm going to be doing. I'm actually going to real talk for a little bit, and then we'll get into the discussion. So there's going to be some changes to the channel. I apologize for the lighting. I'm currently filming in a very poorly lit area of the room. I also apologize for the clutter behind me. In the process of getting ready to do some holiday gift wrapping, which is funny because when I usually describe that to people, I'm one of the very few people that actually enjoys wrapping presents. So I honestly look forward to it. I usually just put music or something on over in the background, kind of just something for me to listen to while I'm doing wrapping gifts and getting in the spirit of the season. So, but yeah, moving on. Basically, how the channel's going to work is like this. I really want to try and do stuff more board game related. I've really got a calling and a passion. I have a collection brewing behind me, and this is just stuff I've really been working on this last year. It's something I've really liked doing, something I've really enjoyed partaking in. Have been loving taking some games with me to friends, places, or events, including family, and just being able to share that passion. There's something very genuine and fun and endearing about spending that kind of like actual personal face-to-face time with other people. Now, don't get me wrong, video gaming might still have its place here. I don't really know where, but we could safely say that in 2020 this is definitely going to be a more board gaming focused channel. And that's to say if like YouTube allows it to be that way. Now, I'm a know nothing channel and I really haven't been putting a good foot forward this last year on content. I've tried to. A lot of projects I've tried to, some not so much. And the reason for that has just been a very hectic life, a very energetic child, and very limited free time and lack of equipment. I want to put more quality production out there. So I'm going to be dedicating time starting in January to learning how to do proper video editing. Granted, there will be some stuff very similar to this kind of setup, but my goal is to have a much better production. And like I said, it will be board gaming focused, although the occasional maybe video game vlog or vlog type video will still be prevalent. So that's my goal for 2020. I don't have any real release schedules or anything really like that set in stone. Right now it's getting through the holidays. It has been very hectic for me, kind of getting into the personal discussion, very hectic for me personally. My daughter was sick for a little while. She was actually sick for a solid month and a half. It was ranging from a series of colds. One time we actually feared it could have been the flu, and if you lived in upstate New York, there was a genuine concern for young children and elderly folk for getting the flu because of how dangerous it was. So from about, I want to say it was a late September, early October till about mid-November-ish. She just had a very nasty cough. It was keeping her up at night, and it was hectic. And then it got translated over to me. And the last 3 weeks have been some of the most vicious, hellish weeks, both mentally and physically, I've had to deal with. I don't really get into my personal stuff that often. Still trying to find like a voice, I guess you could say, for this channel in the many years I've been doing it. And yeah, I really don't talk too much about what goes on in my personal life, but basically, I had a cold that I can only assume had turned into a form of walking pneumonia or walking flu. I had terrible chest congestion. I was getting sick and nauseous. There were times where I felt like I was not sleeping at night, to the point where I almost felt like I was walking while I was in the middle of doing things at work. So that's finally clearing up. And between that and the holidays, and I'm currently involved in a play production that I'm currently doing media for. So that's been taking up a lot of time. So my goal come next year is to really kind of take a step back and really work on a passion that I've been really, really set in stone and wanted to talk about, and that's board gaming. Because in my opinion, board gaming is just as important as video gaming, and even more so in certain areas. Now, I'm not saying I hate board gaming, but I will say that I have been scaling back my video game collection for a couple of reasons. I'll talk about that briefly. A lot of it is just personal preferences. I'm not playing a lot of these games. The desire to really play them has not been there. I feel like they're just collecting dust, and I liken it to things I've had other friends, people I've met both in real world and YouTube, who have basically have a passion for it, and it's in their collection, but it's also part of them. Now, I still have a collection, and there's I have a PS2 collection that's not going anywhere, and we're talking close to 300 games. I have a PS1 collection that's not going anywhere, but I have pieced out several collections already. So it's just stuff like that I'm not as passionate about. I still play a lot of current games for PS4, and especially the Switch now. I'm really getting into that. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm disrespecting gaming, video gaming, or gamers in general. I still very much watch that kind of stuff. It's just that my focus is going to be more towards the tabletop gaming. Because I don't really see too many people in my inner circles doing that kind of thing. And I think, why not? I think it could be fun. And honestly, if it works out, it works out. I've, had lots of inspiration from other various YouTube channels. So as far as that goes, like I said, a lot of this will be board gaming related. Maybe some reseller deals and stuff like that. I mean, I do have ideas. It's just them wanting to get flesh them out and make sure they're done properly. So basically, as I'm looking into this lens, and it looks like this one eye is ridiculously smaller than the other, which it isn't, I assure you. It's just how the camera's set up. Although this eye did have a burst blood vessel in it the last few days. That was a scary thing right off the bat to imagine. But yeah, so we're gonna take another direction, and we're gonna have some fun with it. And if anyone has any suggestions of stuff they'd like me to discuss, because there'll be stuff ranging from full-fledged reviews to quickie reviews to a lot more in-depth stuff. I'd love to be able to have a special GoPro and have it sit above my table while I'm actually live stream some things, because some of the interaction at the table can get pretty funny. That's one of the big reasons why I love it. I love people coming together and having a good time. And I will say this, there is nothing more, very few things are as fun as getting together with close friends and family, and playing a game, and before you know it, it's 3-4 in the morning, and you've been playing for about 7-8 hours, and you completely lost track of time. So, yeah, kind of hoping to share that passion here, but basically, that's where I'm at. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been a part of this channel. My goal is to hopefully be able to respond and contribute more to yours. For those who I haven't, I do apologize. A lot of it is negligence on my side. I'm not going to dance around it. Just, I could be doing better. And I'm not. I will say that my days of giving out free subscribes to people are over. I've been a part of way too many YouTubing video game groups, and honestly, I have no desire to want to admin a group like that again. Maybe I'll be a part of one. I'm a part of a couple other groups already. Um, that's just not the kind of thing I want to do. I don't like empty, faceless support, especially if it really means nothing. So, my goal is to have fun and maybe build up a community around it for those who enjoy it. But that's where I'm at right now. Honest goals, honest paths going forward. My only regret is, I guess my only regret, if I had to say, over this last year was not having proper direction as well as a lack of passion. But as we all know, life does get in the way. So with all of that out of the way, almost 11 minutes in, let's get into the discussion here, because this will be a straight to YouTube. I'm not going to bother with any editing because right now I'm using my phone. And when I try to do the more, like the more busy work productions on my phone where I'm having to record several videos at once, I'm noticing a lot of files get corrupted pretty easily. I blame my phone. It's not the newest one. It gets me through the day and does what I need it to do, and I don't have any complaints. But again, with the future comes, hopefully better equipment comes with it. So let's get into the topic, and that is games on the go. And what I mean by that is, not everyone has a means to like pick up like a nice earthy game over here. I'm looking at like Shadows over Camelot. You can't really take that and play and have like a quick, game you can do in a couple of minutes. No. I kind of wanted to focus on the smaller games in this category that I own. I do have other small games, but I felt like these are really good representations of really, really quick games. I'm not going to do a huge dive, like a huge submersion into each one. I'm just going to do a quick breakdown and discuss why I feel they're good and for what reason exactly. And probably starting with the more complex. It actually is a little game that goes in a a really cheap looking deck box, and that is Star Realms. Lighting isn't in the way. This is it right here. It's a card game. It is a deck building game, and the reason why I like this game as much as I do, it is a little complex. It does take a read of the rules once or twice. Thankfully, this does come with a copy of the rules in it, and for each person to read. But basically, how the deck works, as I'm pulling out some of the components. But basically, each person has their own immediate starting deck of cards, and I believe it's the starting deck of cards consists of 2 types of cards, and that is, I believe, 8 of these scouts. Let me get that in there, and 2 of the vipers. Now, how it works is it's only starting 10 cards. Literally the rest comes from this massive pile of cards I'm holding in my hand. How it works is actually pretty simple. Each person has 50 hit points, 50 life, however you want to say it. And the goal of the game is, by simply starting with these cards, you're using scouts or anything with the yellow number, that's your currency, to purchase a series of cards that are laid out on the table. Like next to the cards, or next to this massive deck you're going to be drawing from, you'll see like 5 cards sitting right next to it. That's basically like what you can purchase with it. So like something like, for 2 currency, you can buy this missile bot. For 4 currency, you can purchase the stealth needle. And basically what you're doing is you're building your own deck. The cards you build, you purchase, they go into your discard, which is basically your graveyard, to kind of relate to other card games. And once you draw through your deck, you then combine your graveyard back to your deck, you reshuffle, and then you draw a new hand. And you play them as though they're permanent, and they don't get removed from the field unless they are destroyed or or unless they're those two first cards I started. It's a really good deck builder game. If any of this sounds confusing, imagine the premise of it is you're building your own Starfleet. Certain factions give you certain bonuses, and there is an app for this on the smartphone, Star Realms, if you wanted to get more information of it. But basically, you're drawing currency to buy cards that go into your deck later on that you can use to build up your federation, to build up your faction, to basically mass a huge onslaught on your opponent. And it really is a lot of fun. And the best part about this game is the fact that there is no pay-to-win condition. You have to win with what's in here. Now, there are expansions and different cards you can get, but the rule of thumb is that with every deck, this is enough for 2 people to play. You get 2 of these, 4 people can play, and it makes for some crazy stuff. So if you're into, constructive deck building games and you're sick and tired of being the guy at the card tournaments for Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon or anything like that, who just doesn't have the money to go out and buy the cards, I recommend this for you. Everybody's on the same playing field. The next game is a super, super simple game, and it's simply just zombie dice. Super easy game. It is just, I think it's 13 dice. And the whole premise of the game is you reach into the cup, you grab 3 random dice, and you roll, and the whole reason you're rolling is to get these brains. First person to, I believe it's 13 or 15. As I'm looking up the rules of doing this. This is, yeah. 13, yep, 13 brains. Yep, 13 brains, 13 dice. First person to 13 brains wins. And for every brain you roll, you set it aside, you reach into the cup, and you make sure you have another 3 dice to roll. You'll notice there's 2 other symbols on these dice. You got a set of feet walking away, meaning that a survivor has gotten away. You can re-roll that. However, if you get that is a shotgun blast. It's like the exaggeration explosion symbol. If you get 3 of those on one turn, any brains you have currently not locked away, meaning if I have 4 brains rolled already, and then next turn, boom, I hit my last and final shotgun blast, I don't get to bank them. So you can stop rolling at any time, you put the dice back in the cup, and you give it to the next person, and they go. First to 13 wins. Pretty simple stuff. I will say the only negative I can really think about this game is that it goes really quickly, and it is a very luck-focused game. Another game which is actually slightly complex, a little kind of hard to teach at first, but then once you get it, you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that is Sushi Go. A very simple, it's a very simple card game. It kind of, and I'll explain it like this. Everybody gets dealt a certain number of cards depending on the number of people playing. And there can, different cards pair differently with other cards for special bonuses. Let me see. Let's see. As I reach into here trying to pull out anything that I feel is going to be a help. Like if you get the most puddings in the game and you get 6 points. Whoever has the least amount of puddings, that's negative 6 points. You have a wasabi card. And basically the next nigiri you draw, that gets multiplied by 3. So you better hope to get that squid nigiri right here, because that's 9 points paired with a wasabi. You have maki rolls right here. The number at the top determines how many you have. The person with the most maki at the end of that turn gets 6 points. The next person with the most gets 3 points. You have sashimis, where if you get 3 of these bad boys, you get 10 points. You have chopsticks that allow you to draw 2 cards instead of 1 on another turn. Tempura shrimp, you get 2 of them, and they're worth 5 points. You have other cards, too, like normal nigiris that are just worth standard points by themselves, which, ironically, you really do want, because in late game, those points are going to add up. You got pudding. Dumplings, where depending on how many you get, increases the amount of points you receive. Now, there's a few others, but basically how it works is this. We're playing a standard 4-person game. each person is going to get dealt 8 cards. You're then going to look at those 8 cards. And we'll just say this is 8, even though this is very much more than 8. You're then going to take a card from those 8. You're going to set it down, like so. You're going to set it down in front of you. That's yours. You're then going to take the rest of the cards and pass it to the player on your left. And then when everyone's ready, you reveal what you just kept, and that stays in front of you. And then you pick up the deck that was passed to you, and you continue that process. Continue that process until there's nothing left, and then you score. The traditional game goes for 3 rounds. You can, of course, play for as many rounds as you want. You can play for 5 rounds. You can play best of series. This game really is a lot of fun. It translates very well, and the cool thing about it is that on the surface it seems very simple, but honestly there is a fair bit of strategy because there's an awful lot of sabotage you can do to the person that's sitting on your left. So if you want to make sure they don't get any puddings, or you got to stop them to make sure they don't, if they got a wasabi down, and you want to make sure they don't get a squid nigiri to get that 9 points, you might just want to keep it for yourself for 3. So Sushi Go, pretty simple, pretty standard to learn, and a lot of fun. And the last one is a game called Welcome to the Dungeon. The funny thing about this game is that, in theory, this should be one of the easiest to play, but it's kind of one of the most, I'd say, obtuse. And when I say that, I mean that everyone has different ways they want to play, and everyone has different ways they want to play it. But basically, how it works is this: at the start of the round, there are going to be 4 characters on the table. Each character, I believe, has 6 equipment cards laid out next to them. You'll see what they are. And everyone as a group decides which character they want to play. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to, as I'm getting everything set up, you're then going to draw from this deck of cards. These are the monsters. Now, how this works is really simple. Randomly, you're going to pick from the top of the deck. Well, I say randomly because you're not going to know what's there. You look at whatever you got and you ask yourself, is this a creature you want to be in the dungeon? You are drawing to see what is in this dungeon. You're drawing to know what you face. Now, if it stays in the dungeon, you simply just put it down in the middle of the table and declare it that it's in the dungeon. However, if you pick up a card and you think to yourself, oh man, that may be an issue, what you can do is remove an item from the hero that you have chosen at the beginning of the round. So let's say you picked the barbarian here, but oh no, I just picked up like a golem creature, and I'm too worried that later in the game he's gonna come back and he's gonna lay down the hurting on me. So I'm thinking to myself, well, in order to as I'm reading this, I realize there is a card to defeat golems, so that'd be pointless. So let's say there was something like a dragon or whatever, and you thought to yourself, oh man, I really don't want to have this in the dungeon because this could essentially kill the barbarian pretty quickly. You could remove something like the leather shield. You take that away, you lose the HP bonus, but you don't have to fight the dragon. And you pretty much do that until people, as it continues, and basically any creatures that are not in the dungeon you put aside, as well as the equipment, and you keep going until one person is left, and people will be dropping out of the option to go fight in this dungeon. And you will then go in, you will then flip the monsters you revealed, and you'll then play any items that, there's the hammer defeats the golem automatically. The cross defeats the vampire automatically. Certain items automatically kill really weak creatures. And you're going to do this until either your character dies or you successfully get through the dungeon. If you successfully defeat all the monsters in the dungeon, you get a treasure card. The first character to get 2 treasure cards wins. If anyone at the table loses the dungeon crawl twice, they are out of the game. Now again, you don't have to play that rule, If you want to be a little more cutthroat, it does make it a little more interesting because then they're going to be less likely to play aggressive come the next time. So that's what I got here. 4 pretty simple, fun games that really just evolve in front of you and turn into something quite awesome. And that is Welcome to the Dungeon, Zombie Dice, Sushi Go, and Star Realms. So that's going to do it for this. If there's any game you'd like me to talk about that's on my shelf, something you might have an interest in yourself, let me know in the comments below. I'll certainly do my best if I don't own it to get it. I will say that I'm currently not backing anything on Kickstarter at the moment because it is the holidays and that stuff tends to get pretty expensive. So, but yeah, if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about or have a discussion video about, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to give it a shot, hoping I A, own it, and B, it's not a ridiculously expensive game. But that's going to do it for this long-winded video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I know this is a bit of a long one, but stuff needed to get said, and I needed to say it. I want to thank you to everyone who has stuck around this long time. I'm really hoping this time around to do better. And here's to 2020 being a much more productive year.